o'clock p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. This is the Parks, Recreation, and Open Spaces Commission for the City of Albany, California. It's June 9th, 2022. Can we have a roll call? Or are we frozen?
Certainly. No. Commissioner Abbott.
I am here.
Commissioner Armendariz.
Here.
Commissioner Kent.
Here.
Commissioner Price.
Here.
Commissioner Chang Frank is absent and excused. Commissioner Martin is absent and excused. And Chair Beal.
I am present. Okay. With that, I'm going to do the land acknowledgement, which we read at the beginning of every advisory meetings for City Council Minute Action, November 15th, 2021. The City of Albany recognizes that we occupy the land originally protected by the Confederate villages of Lejeune. We acknowledge the genocide that took place on these lands and must make strides to repay the moral debt that is owed to this indigenous people, specifically the Ohlone tribe. We thank them for their contributions, which have transformed our community and will continue to bring forth growth and unity. The City of Albany commits to sustaining ongoing relationships with the tribe and together build a better future for all that make this their home. And the next item is the approval of the minutes for May 12th, 2022. Does anyone want to, is there discussion or does anyone want to make a motion?
I'm happy to move that we approve the minutes from the last meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, can we have a roll call vote?
Commissioner Abbott.
Yes.
Commissioner Armendariz.
Yes.
Commissioner Kent.
I abstain. I wasn't there last meeting.
Commissioner Price.
I think I also need to abstain because I wasn't there last meeting.
Oops, no forum.
Chair Beal.
Yeah, almost got lost there. I agree. Yes, I vote yes. We approve. Do we have a quorum to vote on it? That's what I was wondering. Where you're frozen again, Isabel. So
information, even if you weren't at the previous meeting, you can still, if many abstention and not enough approval, then the minutes won't pass. So I'm not quite sure where we are on the vote at this point. Sid, can you let me know?
The city attorney on the line?
No.
There are 3 approvals.
Sid?
There are 3 approvals.
But we need to, so it's not a quorum of the, okay, I see. We had a quorum to vote, but we have a quorum.
We're okay. We're okay because the majority of members present voted in favor of the minutes. So we're fine. Thank you.
Yeah, wow. Okay, glad we got you looking out for us. So, okay, well, with that, are there any staff and commissioner announcements, reports, and updates of status of previous agenda items? I'll go first to the staff.
Chair Beal, I think you passed public comments.
Oh, you're right. I'm so sorry. Yeah, because I got lost in the. Yeah, I'm so sorry. Yes, this is very important, and I want to see. I was told, do we have people first of all, and can I let them in myself, or do you do? No, you guys have to do that.
Yes,
okay.
Sid will take care of it.
Yeah, we do have so far 2 hands raised, and I could let them in.
And again, my apologies. So.
Yeah. Hi, good evening. This is Jeremiah. So Assistant City Manager, can you please email me the policy where it says that the majority of the members present is quote unquote good enough to pass the minutes? I was just wondering where that's written in Albany's codes of conduct. because it kind of just looked like a rule you just made up or something, playing street volleyball, you know, rally for serve. Anyway, but besides that, informality or whatever you want to call it, I have some great ideas because summertime's coming up, if it's not summer already, and we got a lot of school kids that are going to be spending the summer pretty much with nothing to do. And when you got sophomores and juniors turning into juniors and seniors, even freshmen and sophomores, you know, we need to give these kids structure through the summer because there's so many, I don't know how to say this, there's so much alcohol and drugs out there for teenagers. And it really concerns me not having enough programs at the parks for kids to get involved, to stay busy doing something. A lot of these city events in Albany are based around drinking alcohol. You know, it brings to get something beneficial for the community to have sober events and lessons to teach these kids, you know, how to get through the summer sober. Because a lot of these kids, and even just a lot of adults, okay, even for yourselves, we got to find activities, fun, community-oriented, purpose-driven activities. I really think we should get more people involved in volunteering, having something to do, having some sort of purpose. So if we can generate some volunteer days at the parks, or more music in the parks, more events in the parks, having a set schedule, I think we'll do really great this summer. So keep up the good work, everybody. And they're free. And make sure water is supplied. Drink water.
Okay, well, we have the next speaker.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I'm still Susan Schwartz, the head of Friends.
It's just a little bit of an echo, but you're good.
I'm sorry?
We can hear you.
Okay. Yes, I'm still Susan Schwartz, the head of Friends of Five Creeks, a 25-year-old all-volunteer group founded here in Albany. I'm eager to hear a later item, but since I'm here, I'll just give you a little report. I hope you can find time to walk along Cerrito Creek at the foot of Albany Hill, where the flowers, particularly the cow parsnip, are still beautiful, or Codornices Creek, where the poppies that we planted at the edge of the Little League field are still in just mass bloom. We're very excited about that. Perhaps you could come to our work party in that meadow on Saturday, where we're going to be clearing more area. These flowers were so successful. We really want to see a lot bigger area in the fall. I'm hoping that we're going to work out with the Little League having an actual display on that hideous fence of the history of Little League, which, you know, is very old. It's not quite as old as I am, but it's been around a long time. I think that would just be great. And we're hoping that this will be the last year we'll have that hideous fence, because Albany's grant to build a trail comes into effect on June 30th. And let's see, I have a little bit more time. We have a very exciting citizen science project coming up, I hope. There is a tiny little data logger which reads by Bluetooth and tells you at any interval you want for 3 years left in the creek, the temperature of the water and whether there's water in the creek or not. I think you understand that because of climate change, this kind of monitoring is going to be quite important. This is a new product. This is a pioneering effort. If it works, it will work for volunteers, other groups can use it, and it will make a real difference in what we know as climate change advances. But it's new, so we'll see how that works out. We are expecting them by June 20th. Thanks so much. That's enough. Thanks.
Is that all we got, or is there anyone else? Oh,
There are no more hands raised.
huh? Okay, so then, yeah, my apologies again. Are there any announcements from the staff?
Yes, let me just switch my camera here. Okay. Yeah, thank you, Chair Beal and commissioners. I do have some department program and event updates as we enter our busy summer schedule. As the Senior Center continues to provide daily nutrition opportunities through their dine-in lunches, pick-up and go meals, and Meals on Wheels deliveries, they continue to add in-person programs. Their very popular hiking program, where the group takes a Senior Center shuttle bus to locations throughout the Bay Area, is now meeting twice per month. They have also restarted their day trip program and have already visited the Ardenwood Historic Farms and the Japanese Garden in downtown Hayward. The FOAS, which we all know as the Friends of Albany Seniors, recently hosted their pancake breakfast at the community center with the help of the Albany Fire Department. Their next community event is their 4th of July barbecue in the backyard garden of the Senior Youth Annex. That event is scheduled for Saturday, July 2nd from 5 p.m. until 7 p.m. Tickets are now available at the Senior Center. I encourage everyone to check out the Senior Center's comprehensive program and event schedule by picking up a copy of the monthly Senior Center Chronicles. Hard copies are available at the Senior Center and community centers and can be viewed online on the city webpage. There is something for everyone. So June 3rd was the official last day of the 2021-2022 Friendship Club After School program. Friendship Club served over 50 children daily throughout the school year from Marin, Cornell, and Ocean View elementary schools. Despite the challenges of the pandemic, the program stayed open throughout the school year, not closing for even one day. Staff just started the summer session of Friendship Camp this past Monday. In addition to our regular camp for 1st through 5th graders, Friendship Camp has expanded its age groups to include kinder camp for children entering pre-K and kindergarten, and a junior counselor program serving teens in our community. Enrollment is near capacity, and the staff is passionate to serve the youth of our community. In addition to Friendship Club camps, our department is working with 26 independent contract instructors that provide programming for all ages and interests. This summer, there are over 125 program opportunities in the areas of learning, technology, sports, and creative arts. Our outdoor facility rentals remain very popular for everyone. Every weekend, we accommodate multiple picnic rentals. Our picnic rentals provide a beautiful space in our parks for family, special events, and gatherings. We continue to take reservations for field space and tennis court rentals. These venues promote a tremendous opportunity for fitness, team sports, and community bonding. Our next department event will be the 4th of July concert in the park. The concert will take place at Memorial Park from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., July 4th. We have a great band scheduled that will play a wide variety of music. It's a casual event, so bring your own food to picnic and enjoy the park together while listening to a live band. We're also looking to try and organize a couple more concerts in the park over the summer and early fall. For information on any of the programs and events that I mentioned, please contact the Recreation and Community Services Department at 510-524-9283 or on the city's webpage. And that concludes my updates. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Pros Commissioner Kent, number 1.
Thanks, and that's why I want to state that I'm having technical difficulties here. I had to log in from another computer. I still can't get the camera to work, so I apologize for that, but I'm here.
Okay, yeah, and on that note, just one thing, to all the commissioners, if you would mute yourself when you're not speaking so that we don't pick up background noise. Okay, any other commissioners?
I just want to jump in, and Sid just mentioned the 4th of July, and I'm delighted. Sid just okayed the Chamber of Commerce is going to be handing out free ice cream at the 4th of July event. It's something like the 40th, 45th year, something like that. We managed to hand out about 400 ice creams in under 10 minutes, so it's really something to see, and we're looking forward to that. So should be exciting. Good, nice event. Thanks.
Okay, any other commissioners? Okay, doesn't sound like we have any. Then I don't have anything to talk about tonight, so I'll spare you that. And we don't have any presentations this evening, so we're going to go to item 6.1, which is the street tree removal applications. So on this one, there's some special procedures involved. One of them, I already know Commissioner Price needs to recluse herself from those two, which means, basically you turn off your video and act like you're not there. And we are going to do them one by one for that reason. Are there any other commissioners that have a tangible interest within 500 feet of any of these addresses? Okay, great. It sounds like
Just to be clear, it's the 2 trees on Marin Avenue that I need to recuse myself.
Thank you. Yeah, so Commissioner Christ, then I'll ask you to turn your video and microphone off until we get to item, well, yeah, I would do that until item C. And sometimes in the presentation, they may not break them up, but you can, once they start talking about 1435, you can handle that. So then, all right. So, and then I think that's how we're going to do it. Do we have a staff report? I see you, but I don't hear you. I think you're on mute, John.
Now I'm unmuted. How's that?
John Hawkins.
All right. Hello.
Take it away.
Okay, we have 3 trees for removal tonight. I'm going to go through them one at a time, although 2 of them are somewhat related. So I'm going to share my screen. Where is it? There it is. All right. So 3 tree removals, 2 of them on Marin, 1249 Marin, which is the community center. And what I'm designating as 1279X Marin, it doesn't really have an address. It's on the, in between Key Route and Masonic on Marin, just next to the BART overpass. And then there's 1435 Thousand Oaks, which we'll be revisiting tonight. So all these trees, there was a question last meeting, all these trees were posted, mailers sent out on May 24th. That's 16 days before tonight. So that gives us the correct amount of time for notification for the trees. Okay, so the Marin Avenue Pavement Rehabilitation Project, Phase 1, consists of street paving from Cornell Avenue to Key Route Boulevard, and it contains enhancements to ADA accessibility, storm drain functionality, pedestrian safety, and bikeway improvements. Detailed during the design, 2 locations of proposed tree removals were identified. One is for ADA compliant parking stall in front of the Albany Library Community Center, and the other is for a bioretention basin located along the Greenway on the north side of Marin between Masonic and Kira Boulevard. So we'll look at 1249 Marin. This is in front of the community center, obviously. This is the tree in question. This proposed ADA compliant proposed ADA compliant on-street parking stall is necessary to replace a non-compliant stall that currently exists in front of the library. Just to the left of this, if you're not familiar, there's a blue zone that's just a blue painted curb. The proposed ramp is consistent with state and federal standards, which prescribes the location, layout of parking spaces. Compliance with the standards includes removal of all obstructions within the sidewalk for the full length of the parking space and locating parking spaces such that persons with disabilities are not compelled to navigate behind a parked car other than their own. Alternate locations were reviewed, but due to the existing street tree spacing, all feasible locations would involve a proposed tree removal. So no matter where this might be located, one of the trees in front of the community center library would need to be removed. Alternate stall layouts were also reviewed, but this location doesn't meet the conditions for restricted right-of-way variance. So what we're talking about is something similar to what was done at the Marin middle school, where you see the blue accessible parking only, the ADA parking only sign. That there was a tree there that was removed in order to install this ADA compliant parking strip. This is the diagram of the plan. I don't have much more to say about this. If you have questions about the process, the plan, I think Allison is on the call here and she can add to this. So any questions about this one? Okay, so then we'll do questions only from the commission, and then we'll have comments or questions from the public. Any questions from commission? I did just myself have one question, because it seems like this might have been a choice between tree removal. We know we have to move a tree, but could you kind of show us where, if they're the ones that were ruled out, could you give us an idea of where they were? And that's my question. Well, I don't have a good shot of it here, but there's trees like this, about the same size, same species, evenly spaced in front of the community center and library. And I think the other option might have been the one that's already where the blue curb is painted, which is the tree just to the left of this. So yeah. That was my only question. I guess then we can go to, is there any more? Oh, Kent, yeah, or Kent number 1.
Thank you. Yeah, so according to the spacing, you say, John, one tree has to come out, right? They're spaced too tightly to get between the trees, is what I understood. Yeah. So is this the worst of the trees? I know they're all in kind of rough shape. Is there one that's weaker and worse condition than others? They're all about the same. They're not great trees, but they're all okay trees. There's not a lot of difference. They're all about the same size, same height, same diameter, same kind of sparsity in the upper crown on these, and the same drooping around the sidewalk area that needs to be trimmed up every now and then. But basically, yeah, it's not. I wouldn't pick a favorite out of that tree's probably was planted when the building was redone, right? In the early 90s?
Yeah, I believe so.
It hasn't hardly grown at all. Okay.
Okay, is that,
That's it.
that satisfies your question? Any other commissioners? No. Okay. Okay, and, right, so we have public comment. And Commissioner Kent, your hand's still up. Do we have anybody?
I see one hand raised.
Hey, let him in.
All right, here I go. So I noticed that if you remove the street tree, it's more than just removing the street tree. You're going to have to repave where the street tree was. You got a couple metal grates there. So not only is it removing the street tree, you got to do some sidewalk work. And does this parking space require installing a sign and a pole, or is the other sign and pole with the other ADA space enough? You need to have a sign per parking space, or are you going to add another sign? And it looks like so how many feet is going to be this parking space? Is it 16 or 18 feet? I forget which one it was. I think I think they might be 18 feet. So if you look at it, it's got to actually be 3 feet from the ADA ramp. In the middle between the two ADA spots, there's an ADA ramp going to the street. And if you look on the left side, there's 3 feet before it's painted blue. And I think it's 3 feet from the ADA ramp. I think it should be painted red. I'm not sure how those ADA ramps go. If it's the first 3 feet is red, because I don't see any red there. But if it's all blue, that's great. I just don't see 100% of the purpose to remove a whole tree. Because if you look at the feet right there, if a ADA vehicle parks, usually the ADA is coming out of the middle of a van or the side of the van. And that street tree lines up directly just with the passenger seat. And so every single meeting, there's always trees to be removed. And I just never hear enough about trees being planted. And I just don't think that this one requires that.
Okay, so do we have anybody else, or is it just Jeremiah?
I see no other hands raised.
Okay. I don't know if the staff wants to answer any of Jeremiah's questions. Do you have any comments, or if not, we'll go to.
Well, I think generally, again, the plan is for something very similar to this. So the sidewalk's going to be pushed in. So I'm not really sure if this answers his question, but it's, you know, we're not just moving the blue zone, we're creating a new sort of recessed parking area for accessibility.
John, if I may jump in, I can provide a little bit more about how these work and some of the limitations for why we weren't able to keep it in the existing spot. So the way these work is that the ramp is located. The idea is that if you can keep it there at the middle school, I think that actually might be the best example, John. These are longer stalls than what we see currently. On the on-street parking, that one's non-compliant. These are long enough for somebody to back in and either come closer to the curb if they want to exit the car on the street side, or park within the park kind of parallel to all the other cars or consistent with all the other cars and get out on the passenger side. So it provides a little bit more room for somebody to navigate from both directions. Additionally, the ramp is in the back so that people who have rear access for their ADA equipment can easily navigate to the ramp. If it was in front, they would have to close a door while backing up and then move forwards in order to get up the ramp. And so this is situated in the best possible way for the ability for various types of pedestrians to be able to use the ramp. The second thing is we have another ramp that's in front of it, which is slightly different than this middle school ramp. And that ramp is to provide some additional access, but also there's some parking, there's some bike parking there. And we wanted to make sure that people who are trying to get up to the bike parking were able to get there easily without having to interact too much with pedestrians. And had we left it in its existing condition, there's a utility pole in the way. So we would have had to take out one tree and possibly a second tree in order to fit it in the existing location.
Okay, so I guess then we're going to go to comments from commissioners or discussion from commissioners. When you got your hand up, Commissioner Abbott.
Yeah, just quick. Is there an opportunity here? Maybe it's already been discussed, but an opportunity to plant another tree like a couple feet away. I mean, if basically move this tree 3 feet out. I mean, would that make any sense here?
There are a couple locations around the community center, not along this curb. We wouldn't be able to replant. But on the opposite side of the sidewalk, there used to be several plum trees and things that have all died off, and everything there seems it needs a total redesign. But yeah, there's an opportunity there, and there's a spot in front of one of the window wells for the library on Marin. There's an empty spot along the fence in the back parking lot, and there's a small dead tree on Masonic that needs to be replaced also. So we can probably next year we'll have 3 new trees in some configuration there.
And just to clarify, the sense, just as you were speaking, it occurred to me, it's because the canopies would be too close. You couldn't, there's not enough room there to fit in additional tree. Just trying to be clear for anybody who might be listening about why we couldn't replant a tree.
So actually, hold up, everybody. I've got to ask a procedural question of the staff, because this is now the flip side of the problem we had a couple meetings back, where we are supposed to divide this, where we ask the questions, then we go to public comment, and then we go to commissioner. And now you're asking questions of the staff, which may or may not be reasonable. So I want to ask for clarification from the staff. Is this a procedural issue, or am I worried about it for nothing?
No, it's not a procedural issue. Commissioners can ask questions at any time or make comments at any time. And also I wanted to mention that when there is a motion on the floor, comments are also allowed after a motion has been made.
Okay, and I just wanted to cut in because it seems to be turning back into this QA with John, and I don't know, I was quite ready for it. So okay, but thanks. I do appreciate it. I just want to make sure.
Our goal is to have come to the best decision possible, and if a question comes up, we need to be able to ask it. So
right.
So I think I have my answer, and that's all.
Okay, Pros Commissioner Kent, and thank you for the question, Commissioner Abbott. Pros Commissioner Kent.
Thanks. And along the same lines as Commissioner Abbott's thoughts, not only could we possibly find another place to plant a tree? It looks like you looked at that, John. But as I mentioned, the trees there look in really poor health. Is it possible to saw cut the holes bigger so they're not in such small little wells, and allow them a little more air and water? And also wanted to thank Allison for explaining how these work. They've always really confused me. So that was great to hear.
And I just want to cut in here. Can we change, because we're looking at the photo of the middle school now. Can we change to the photo of the, yeah, there we go. Let's change the photo of the one we're actually considering. So thank you.
Yeah, that looks like an undersized well.
Yeah. Continue, commissioners.
I've stated my piece.
Okay, it doesn't sound like this. Yeah?
I'll answer what Commissioner Kent asked so far.
Yeah.
The well size is pretty standard. I think this is substantial for this type of tree, especially at this point. These have the metal grates on them, so if we expanded these, we'd have to cut a lot of concrete. There's some design in some of the concrete that's not just typical plain cement. on these tree wells, and then we'd have to locate larger grills or a different type of grill or a different type of situation. I think because this is such a well-traveled area with people coming going constantly from the library and the community center, the grates are needed there. So I just think these trees they're on the youngish side. They're slow growing. The London planes are struggling a little bit. If it gets any worse with our climate, our weather, our hot temperatures, maybe at some point these will have to be removed and replaced with something more climate appropriate. But I think for now they're not looking too bad. This year I think they look okay.
Well, then let me push back a little bit. Looks like that well is 2x2. You're saying it's bigger.
Oh, no. That's a 4x4. It's got the metal grate on it.
Okay, well, even that, I mean, maybe there's more action than I've seen out there, but it always looks like a very lonely sidewalk. And I don't know why we have steel grate out there, but maybe there's action when I'm not around. So,
well, not people going into the library. They just, quick running back and forth. There's not a lot of loitering or
well, I have no problems with the steel grate as long as it's not interfering with the health of the tree. If it's, I guess I'm just trying to, the tree looks really, to me, for 20, 30 years growth, really struggling. And in other places, the tree of that species would be expected to be 2 times that size.
Well, if you look up Marin, the older trees don't look, the older London planes aren't looking great either. So they're struggling. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, commissioners. Okay, no, it doesn't sound like there's much more input. Okay, can we have a motion? Does anyone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve, I don't have the number in front of me, but approve removal of the tree in order to facilitate the installation of the compliant disability parking stall.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Can we have a roll call?
Commissioner Abbott?
Yeah.
Commissioner Armendariz?
Yes.
Commissioner Kent?
Yes.
Commissioner Price, I believe she's recused.
That's correct.
And Chair Beal.
Yes. And the motion passes. On to the next tree.
All right. Next tree is, again, just up the block at between Masonic and Key West Boulevard on the same side of Marin, on the north side of Marin. It's a Marina Madrone, which we also refer to as Arbutus or Arbutus Marina. It's under, not exactly under, but off to the side of the BART overpass. And this, again, is part of the Marin pavement rehabilitation project. This is the tree. Here's a view of it. You can see the community center in the background. What the plan is here is for basically this entire block to just beyond this tree will become a bioretention basin. And here on the right side, I kind of tried to outline what that might look like. There's going to be a basin here to catch stormwater that's going to extend out into the street. I think the whole curb, the whole sidewalk will be pushed out into the street a little bit. This parking is going to likely go away, and there's going to be a bike lane and then a traffic lane. What we're proposing is possibly 2 trees on either side of the bench, and we're going to have a bioretention basin that will be planted with plants, and it will look exactly like this. Now, something like this, my quick rendition of what we're hoping to accomplish here. So, yeah, here's the plan. On the bottom right is the actual bioretention basin. The entire sidewalk will be pushed out a little bit. There's going to be a ramp just past the basin for bicycles to be able to make a left turn onto the Greenway bike path, as well as to head north on the Greenway bike path. I don't know, that's, any questions? I think Allison can help me with, answer some questions on this one.
Are there commissioners that have questions? Kent?
Yeah, I have a question. John, great graphics, by the way. Simple, but you could clearly understand what you're doing. So good job. You showed 2 trees. Can you put a tree in the biofiltration, or do you have some sort of bottom or liner that prevents that?
I can probably answer that, John, if you're okay with that. With this bioretention basin, the soils in this area are fairly clayey, which means that they're not drawing down water very quick. And so we need to put an under drain in to this area. So the first reason being that under drains for stormwater use are incompatible with tree roots. We want these to function, and tree roots, we wouldn't know when a tree kind of grows into the under drain, and then they would effectively may not function as intended during a storm event. And we would never know about it unless we happen to go through and do some root cutting and root trimming. Just generally not a good idea to have them in the same basin. The second reason, maybe John, this is more of a John response, but as I understand it, these trees are also not wonderful for submerging in water for extended periods. John has more technical understanding of that, though.
Yeah, this specific species wouldn't survive in a basin that's going to collect a lot of water during winter storms.
Yeah, I understand that part. I was just wondering if we could replace it. To Jeremiah's point earlier, it seems like we're often seen making decisions on taking out trees, and sometimes we need to be reminded that you're putting trees into, which this graphic shows, and I appreciate that.
Well, we try, if we can replace a removed tree, we replace it. And last month, I believe I also mentioned that we did plant 184 trees, I think, this winter. So we are definitely planting trees in the city. But unfortunately, sometimes mature, sometimes a healthy tree needs to come out.
Okay, is that it for you, Commissioner Kent? Okay, any other commissioners?
I had two questions. So just one, I don't know very much about this bioretention. So I was just wondering, is this part of a larger plan for the city to be installing these sorts of things? And if you could just tell me a little bit more about them. Then my other question is, the tree looks really good. I walked by there the other day too, just to check it out, and it's a really nice looking tree. I'm just wondering if it's possible that it could be moved into, if not one of the spots that you have shown here, into another location.
I considered, we talked about that, and this type of tree, this is a more drought tolerant tree, and they don't lend themselves to transplanting that well. We could do it. It would be very difficult, very expensive, and then the chances of it surviving wouldn't be that great. My feeling is we're better off just starting with 2 new trees. We could have 2 trees of equal age around the bench, have a kind of a even symmetrical look going on there, and create a nice little space for people to kick back on the bench and watch the cars roll by. But yeah, it's other than, you know, this tree is not being removed because of any issues with the tree. It's because this project requires the amount of space that is available there.
And then I can jump in a little about how bioretention basins work and kind of city plans around those. This specific basin is taking the stormwater that's coming down Key Route, and bringing it into the basin to slowly get treated through a bioretention soil mix. And so there is an under drain there that allows it to drain down in sufficient time not to have some kind of mosquito issue. But the bioretention mix itself absorbs toxins. They also have other kind of benefits with bacterial growth within the soil itself that benefits the plant growth, and vice versa. They also, from a kind of a stormwater and kind of treatment of water from a larger city perspective, they're reducing the amount of these contaminants that then travel into the bay. They also, because of the plant growth, provide some, kind of local heat island mitigations, and they also, this is getting a little bit more kind of technical engineering stuff, but they reduce the time of concentration of water entering the stormwater system. And so what that means is that the stormwater is more similar to the natural habitat, which would have existed here prior to us building out a lot of impermeable area. So instead of taking seconds to get to a storm system, it will take half an hour to infiltrate through and so we don't end up with everything collecting in the storm drain at the same time and overflowing. And kind of big picture also from the city side, we're looking to as many places as we can to be able to put these in. We put one in on Washington, similar area, but on the south side of the Greenway crossing of the BART last year. And, the Greenway is really an ideal situation for these types of installations, but we are looking around the city where we can to put more of them. As climate change continues and we get more and more intense storms of shorter duration, the ability to attenuate the storms impacts on the storm drain system are going to just get more and more important.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Senator Abbott?
Just for the benefit maybe of the folks watching at home, I just wanted to mention that second tree that's clearly visible here. I assume that's not coming before us because it's not large enough to go through the process of a tree removal application. Is that correct? Just to be clear.
Yes. It's about a 2-inch diameter tree. It doesn't qualify as
it needs to be 4 inches.
Tree. Yeah.
All right, great. Thank you. That's all.
Anybody else? Do we have public comment?
I see one hand raised.
Lerman?
Hi, everybody. Jeremiah again. The project actually looks pretty reasonable to me. I see that it's going to collect a lot of the storm water flowing down Marin. Not just from Key Route, but from Marin in general. And that's actually going to help the crosswalk right there going across the Ohlone Greenway, crossing Marin, because that's going to catch the rainwater before it hits the crosswalk. And that area around there always floods. And so this is a great idea to catch all that stormwater, because if we don't do this, the stormwater, goes around the corner up Masonic, and then it drains right there. The water would actually cross 2 crosswalks before it was drained. So now this is actually catching all the stormwater before both of the crosswalks. So this is actually going to make the crosswalks going actually east and west to the community center and also north and south safer and less puddles. So I think this is great. One of my concerns is the price of this project and also, the price of the last project, but mainly the price of this project. I'm wondering what it costs to do all this. Mature trees are probably pretty expensive to buy and transport and install, but it's a great project. I was wondering if maybe we can install another bench, possibly, or another chair. This is a great project. And that the tree furthest to the east is going to provide shade for the bench. So that's going to be nice. Oh, and also I was wondering if we can get the Ohloni's permission or the Ohloni's involvement, you know, considering the thing you read in the beginning of the meeting. So I was wondering what sort of commitment you have to the Ohloni's planting these trees pretty much on the Ohlone Greenway. So I was just hoping that the city could just invite the Ohloni's to maybe pick out the tree, you know, that would be respectful, or at least attend the planting of the tree as a, you know, spiritual or native process possibly. So this is a great project. I would say go for it. Oh, and also while you're at it, maybe we can incorporate an ADA spot, but probably not. But do what you can. This looks great, everybody. Keep up the good work.
Okay, was that it for the public comment, or is there anyone else? Well, looks like you got your, wait a minute, pros, Commissioner Price, I think.
Can I comment as a public comment?
I thought, oh, yeah, I understand. Right, we got it. That's right. That's allowed. Yes, go ahead.
Thanks. I just want to say this is a lovely tree, and it's one of the larger trees in this neighborhood, in this exact area along Marin. And it's mirrored on the other side by one other similar tree. They provide really nice, or are providing kind of a nice scale to the BART overpass. Otherwise, it's kind of blown out around here. And so I want to make an argument for keeping this tree. It's just such a nice tree. I'm wondering if there's any possibility of splitting the bioretention, or I assume that the area that's required is required, or moving the bioretention to the back of the sidewalk, similar to how it is, I think, over at Washington. Just if there's any way to kind of rethink the bioretention area so we can keep the tree. That's all. Thanks.
Thank you, Pros Commissioner Price, speaking as a member of the public. I guess now I can pick. Is there anybody else? No? Do we have any commissioners have comments? Discussion? Kat, then Abbott?
Yeah, could you show a plan view once again, John, of the, so that idea of splitting it's kind of interesting. Couldn't you make a sort of a dumbbell design where you connect the two with this perforated pipe? And then between the two dumbbells, I guess, would be the strawberry tree. I can't see the left side. Oh, that's just my picture. Yeah, I guess the plan kind of cuts off, so I can't see what's to the right of it. But is there, you know what I'm saying? I guess maybe this is a question for the designer of it rather than you, John, but whether or not that its potential, as mentioned, to keep the tree and have part of it on one side and part of it on the other. That's my first question. My second question is, can the whole thing move down? It has to be right here. Is there some sort of topography that makes it, this is the only spot?
It's basically going to start on outside the corner ramp on Key Route. So it's basically this entire block up until to the tree, where you see on the diagram looks like a staircase at the bottom. That's about where that is where the tree is now. And I think the size of it is necessary to collect the volume of water that would make this efficient and make it practical to.
Don't they have? Can't you make it deeper instead of longer? I know they have a standard of 18 inches for this stuff. I've seen it where they've made it a little deeper, like 20 inches, 24 inches of soil, so they can make it a little smaller.
So there is the possibility to make it deeper generally. In this case, that's not something that we can really do here efficiently. And that has to do with the kind of maintenance. Because they're treating the stormwater, there is a maintenance requirement to take out so much of the soil so often. And there's an optimum ratio of run-on. So this is from Key Route, and as Jeremiah mentioned a little bit on Marin, there's the area that's running onto it. There's generally kind of a design standard that you want to keep it around 3% of the area. And we're already kind of cutting that close here, if not kind of on the border of not most efficient design. So reducing this further is really not recommended. It would result in significant buildup of the contaminants, and drawdown times would change. It would end up being very deep at the surface level as well, and not just deeper at the bottom in order to make this work effectively. And with pedestrians and bicycles so close, I would recommend against deepening the basin, especially we don't want people getting up on that ramp and ending up in the basin accidentally.
Got it. It'd be a deeper kind of freeboard depth, right?
Correct. And then in terms of other locations, I think that was a comment and question about why we can't put it similarly to Washington. There's a pretty significant kind of amount of soil that the topography really just does not suit a bioretention basin in that area. We would have to take out actually quite a bit of trees behind this kind of benched area, trees and shrubs and greenery in this area to do so. And it's also, if you notice in the diagram that's up right now where it says Bay Area Rapid Transit and there's a little oval shape, that's the location of one of the support structures for BART. And these are not recommended to be very, we want to keep as far away as possible from these because of that soil infiltration and the potential impacts to foundations.
Okay, does that satisfy you more, Commissioner Kent?
No, those answer my questions. Thank you.
Okay. Other commissioners? Comments, questions, discussions? Okay. Does anyone have a motion?
Okay, I'll go ahead and move that we approve. This is item 61B, the application.
Okay, I think I got that. Is there a second?
Guess I'll second it. I hate to do it, but I'll second it.
Okay, can we have a roll call?
Yes, Commissioner Abbott?
Yeah.
Commissioner Armendariz?
Yes.
Commissioner Kent?
Yes.
Commissioner Price?
No, I think
Recuse. Yep. Yeah. And Chair Beal.
Yes. The motion passes. And pros, Commissioner Price, you may re-camera yourself. Because I think the next one she doesn't have. You can enable your camera now, and we'll go on to the next item.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, the next one we're revisiting. This is 1435 Thousand Oaks. Last month, we had some questions about the notification, the posting on the tree. There was only one posting facing the sidewalk, nothing facing the street. And I think there was some confusion which tree it actually was, since there's 3 large camphors on this property. So the tree was reposted. I put postings on 3 sides of this tree. It's a pretty large tree, it branches out pretty low. And I put, as you see on the right, I put a posting on the power pole that is on the way down to the tree. And I made a note on the posting saying that the tree is on San Carlos Avenue at the rear of the property. And I think going forward, when there's a tree that's could be questionable, if there's many of the same species, or it's on a side street like this is on a corner property, that's what I'll need to do, is put a note indicating exactly which tree we're talking about. I can put flyers. I'll put flyers. Not every tree can hold more than 1 flyer, but when it's a large tree, I can put 2 or even 3 or 4 postings, depending on how big the tree is and what the visibility of the tree is. I try to put the postings up a little bit high so that kids running by don't easily snag them, although they're not that high up. But the one facing the street, there's a lot of information on the posting, so it's a posting. If someone's curious, they can stop and get out and read it, but they'll see that there's something going on that tree. So anyway, we reviewed this tree last month, and this tree needs to be removed due to sidewalk repair. And it's basically the wrong tree in the wrong place. It's a tree with a huge root flare. This one has a particularly small root flare for this species. It gets a lot larger, and there's basically a 27-inch planting strip here, and this tree has already outgrown that space. You can see here it's pushing out the curb. It's lifting the water meter. It's lifting the sidewalk, tilting the sidewalk, lifting the curb. You see in this picture, there's a big ramp up here and a tilt to the sidewalk. You can see in this picture, and this, I think AT&T cabinet is being tilted a little bit due to the tree roots pushing everything upward from there. We considered expanding the sidewalk. It already is a bit expanded. I don't know if I have, yeah, you can see here. There was repair done in the past, and they expanded the sidewalk a little bit. But again, for this species of trees, it's just going to keep expanding. And there's not really any room. There's about another foot in all of this shrubbery and vines here that goes right up to the property owner's fence line. And it's not really practical. These are all kinds of vines that are going to keep growing out, and it still wouldn't afford enough space for this tree's root buttress. As you can see, it's right under the already cut back part of the sidewalk. Root pruning will basically be cutting a slice in the side of the trunk of the tree to accommodate sidewalk replacement. Even if we push the sidewalk back another 6 inches or even a foot, we'd be cutting into a very huge root here. And then we'd still have problems with the water meter being lifted and the curb being pushed out. It's just, unfortunately, again, the wrong tree for this location. We looked at, James Sorelli, our sidewalk program manager, looked at this in terms of ramping the sidewalk to accommodate the tree, but there's not enough, he wouldn't be able to get the right slope to be ADA compliant. We really looked at every, possibility to try to keep this tree, because it is a fairly decent tree, but again, it's just in the wrong location. Or this shot I included because this is the street side, and this is where a large limb came out at some point in the past, and it's healed over pretty well, but there's a little bit of decay in there, so there could be a little instability there, but it's a minor concern, but I just included that. So yeah, I think that's all I have. We went over this pretty thoroughly last month. Any questions for me or for James, who I think is also here with us tonight?
Questions from commissioners? Nobody? Okay. About public comment. Do we have public comment?
Yes, I see a hand raised. I see 2 hands raised so far.
Okay, great. Well,
I believe, Tara, you're welcome to.
We don't hear you, Tara. Go ahead. Hello? Can we maybe?
We can move on to Aaron. We could come back to Tara.
Yeah, let's do that and give her time to work it out.
Hello. My name is Aaron Weber. I'm the property owner at 1435 Thousand Oaks. We're sorry to see this tree go. I mean, we understand that it's damaging the sidewalk and needs to come out. I was hoping to get some information about when the work would be done, and also just sort of hope that we could avoid cutting, totally taking out the bougainvillea that's growing there. We can cut it back all the way to the edge of the sidewalk, but we'd like to keep the shrub growing if we can. It's reasonably healthy, and it will probably be healthier once this tree is taken out and it starts getting some more sun.
Is that all your question, Aaron, or you just have more?
No, that's it. That's all for me.
Okay, we'll come back to you after we got all the public comment. We'll give the staff an opportunity. Did the previous person manage to reconnect, or is there anyone else? I'll go take a look around. Yeah, there's Tara again. She's reconnecting. Tara? Yeah, I heard something. Was that you, Tara? It just doesn't sound like she's able to get her audio. The last tip I could give, if you have Bluetooth, sometimes it's a Bluetooth speaker, or if it's connected to multiple devices, that might be causing a conflict. But we can't hear you. What should we do? Should we go on to the next person?
I don't see any other hands raised.
Sid, I think try the phone number that's right under Tara's name. I think it may be her calling.
Yeah, there you go. Let's 510 ... 795.
See if that is the same person.
Sarah?
Hello?
Hi, I can hear you now.
Oh, hi. Thank you so much. Yeah, I had sent an email saying I'm dialing in and I don't have a microphone on my computer. That's the problem. So I'm on the Zoom on the computer, but I can't speak on the computer. So thank you so much for figuring that out. So I live down the block from this tree, and I'm sorry I missed the last discussion. I only just recently noticed the posting on the tree, which I guess the forester was explaining was reposted. So I just found out about it recently. So thank you for doing that. I am concerned about removal of this tree. It is a very healthy, as you noted, very nice tree and provides a lot of shade and aesthetics for the street. I do understand there's some damage to the sidewalk, but that seems to be fairly common. Other trees have that issue, and if the city is going to take a kind of very broad view of damage, it could end up removing a lot of trees that really provide a lot of other benefits for the city. So, I understand you have looked at the ramping and whatnot, but it just seems to me to be a waste of a nice, healthy tree, and the damage is not really that extensive. I guess what you're worried about is that there'll be more damage down the road. But I don't know. It's concerning. I wanted to echo the previous speaker's comment about, a lot of healthy trees being removed. And I understand there's, specific reasons in each case, but I would just urge that, maybe, I don't know if there's a way to just trim it or maybe do a cutout of I know the sidewalk's very narrow there. But it's very disheartening to see all the, these notices going up. And this one is, a half a block from me, so I have a personal interest. But I don't, it sounds like there's, the decisions are kind of already made, before, because there's, the criteria and whatnot. But I guess what I'm urging is that you reconsider the damage, and that it's, it kind of only remove those trees where there is very extensive damage, and this doesn't look that bad to me. That's it. Thank you very much.
Was that the last speaker, or?
No, there's one more hand.
Okay. Lemon?
Thank you, Chair Beal. This is Jeremiah. I love trees, and this is a big one, and it's been there for a long time. And it's like, we're the Grim Reapers, we're deciding the life and death of this tree. It's really sad. It's a living organism. It provides a lot of branches for wildlife, crows, squirrels, birds, everything. But for me, we can plant another tree, and it's just the sidewalk is really dangerous for the elderly. We have a community with a lot of elderly people, and I could already imagine someone's tripped and fallen on this. They may or may not have reported it to the city, but this is a huge tripping hazard, and this is a liability to the city. And we need to make Albany pedestrian access and wheelchair access, these sidewalks, we need to make these safer. That way we could build a healthier community, because people want to go out and exercise and walk more. The senior citizen's not going to want to go take a walk around the block, with or without a walker or a cane. That's still an obstacle. And, I'm a tree hugger. I love trees. I like to hug the trunk of the tree and just feel it move slightly as the strong wind blows. You can actually feel the tree move if you hug a tree long enough. So I think this is actually, the second reading of this. There's a branch that goes over the sidewalk, and it's too low. I think there's a height clearance above the sidewalk. I think it's 7 or 8 feet. Someone's riding a bicycle on the sidewalk. That way they don't hit their head standing up while riding a bike. So, I hate to say it, but, I think this tree, it's not my decision, but, we need to make these sidewalks accessible for ADA. It's only fair. We don't have a senior citizen up here right now, possibly, defending themselves. And so I just want to advocate for senior citizens, as much as I'd love to advocate for the tree, we just need to build a healthier and safe community, because this is a liability to the city if anybody trips and falls. So I'm sorry. I'm very sorry, but I think I got to agree on this one. It's just not the trunk is too wide to shave the roots and build a little S-turn around it. It's messing up the utilities, the lateral lines. So this might be a good idea. I'm sorry, everybody.
Hey, thank you for your comments, Jeremiah. Was that all, or is there anyone else?
More hands raised.
No more hands? Okay, so then we'll go to commissioner comments, and I'll save my comments for last. Don't make a motion until after we finish discussing. So, commissioners? Ken? Hello? Commissioner Ken?
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Sorry. I think it's obvious the tree probably has to come out. It's too, as John said, wrong tree in the wrong place. But along those same lines, I guess I want to put the plug in. If we're trying, if we have, Albany is cursed with these really small public sidewalks and very small planting areas. So as these large trees that were planted were probably a bad idea structurally for the sidewalk and for walking, they're beautiful architecturally. Can we build more places where we can put bigger trees in? Often we will pour a new sidewalk and curve it around an existing tree, but if there's no existing tree there, we just pour it straight. It seems like we should be pouring more areas where we can put bigger trees in. So I just want to put that plug in there for looking for opportunities where we can put a big tree, because we're taking these big trees out and replacing with small to medium trees all over the city and losing the mature tall trees. That's my comment.
Albert?
Yeah, I just want to provide a little perspective for the public that we don't like taking out these trees either. I love these camphor trees. These camphor trees are gorgeous. They add so much to the city. We don't take this lightly. And I think perhaps you heard earlier, Mr. Hawkridge was mentioning that we planted over, more than 100, like I think it was 120 something trees or even more last winter. And so we're planting a whole lot more trees than we're taking out. Our job here is to just kind of weigh what's best for the city, what's best for everybody. And we don't like it either, but sometimes a beautiful, healthy tree just is the wrong place and needs to come out. So I just wanted to kind of make that statement in defense of what we do up here.
Commissioner Mendries?
I wanted to just second what Commissioner Kent said about, placing places for large trees, because it is very sad to lose these beautiful big trees. And also I mentioned this last meeting, we just kind of would be curious to know of the trees that were planted most recently, of those, how, what is the size range of those? And then I think just this particular tree, I'm glad that we got a chance to move it over to this meeting, because I got a chance to go and check it out more closely. And, I think the sidewalk is actually worse than it even in this picture looks to me. Like the raise is pretty high. I was also happy to see that there's a big oak tree in the yard of the house that looks like it will grow into some of the space this tree currently occupies. So that'll be nice, and it'll still be very sad to lose this very big tree.
Okay, Abbott again.
Sorry, I just wanted to give, before we forget, give staff an opportunity to respond to some of the questions of the property owner asking about the bougainvillea timing.
I think that's a good idea. Can you guys have anything you want to say about that, or any of the other questions from the public?
I can chime in on that, John. So regarding the property owner, I believe Aaron, well, before we do the construction, we will discuss this a bit more, but it will probably be in August that we do the actual sidewalk construction. John might have a different timeline on the tree removal. And as the hedges are mostly an ADA issue. We can talk about it, when we're doing the construction of the sidewalk. And we can limit how much hedges we remove if they're maintained. As of right now, at the time of when we were first out there, the hedges were very overgrown, and there were a vertical clearance as well, a vertical clearance as well as a width clearance. But if they are maintained at the back of sidewalk, we can talk about keeping them in place. But we will need to remove some in order to curve the sidewalk to allow for a proper tree well beyond the less than 2 feet strip that it kind of gets on the street. And I believe one of the other comments was saying that this damage wasn't very extensive. Just, the way we have been doing the sidewalk program as of this phase and going forward is we have a comprehensive survey of a ADA specialist. They came in and they specifically have an eye accessibility issues. And this was one of the critical repair locations that they said had major accessibility issues. Users in wheelchairs or other mobility limitations, this is not only a hazard, but it's impassable for most of those users. And so it is pretty severe. And I think one of the commissioners mentioned that they went out there and it actually looks worse than it is in the picture. And I can definitely agree. And I believe that's.
Thank you for that suggestion, Commissioner Abbott. I think I had thought of the same thing when we shifted to Commissioner comment, and I just didn't do it. So, or I did ask. So, any other commissioners? Okay, so what I wanted to say about these, because I wanted to talk about some of the public comments, like maybe expand on them, and also about the tree removals in general. So I think, there was this mention about the elderly, and just recently, someone fairly close to me, was impacted by this. Not a sidewalk fall, but when an older person has a fall, that generally can be, kind of a turning point, a negative turning point, because their overall health. So we really need, as a community, we need to, try to prevent that. And so I think, safety always comes before aesthetics, I think, in any decision that I make. And then the issue of liability was brought up. This is actually, it's murky with the law, but this is actually primarily a liability to the adjacent homeowner. So that's why, in these discussions, it's more, I guess there's more weight toward how the homeowner feels. But then, maybe there's, as we discussed last time, there may be some improvement that we may want to have in this process. It should be, because now the city's doing these removal or requesting them. So it is good to have the input from the homeowner. And I think, that's right. The last thing was, because there was also a comment that, well, it looks like the decision's already been made. Well, as of now, it hasn't been. So we make the decision at these meetings, and it is very important that commissioners, I think, come with an open mind and take the public comment into consideration. And I certainly do that. So with that note, I'll ask for, unless anyone has any more comments or discussion, I'll ask for a motion.
I'd like to add to that a little bit. The decisions aren't made lightly, where, people come to these meetings and they say, it's all about tree removals. Well, this is where we talk about the tree removals. That's why it sounds like that. We don't talk about the planting, the pruning, the encouraging people to take care of their own trees. Well, all this, we talk about removals here because they have to go through the commission for approval. We don't just pick random trees and say, cut it down. So, but as far as a tree like this is part of the sidewalk repair program. And I think we have, 50 locations?
Yeah.
This round. And we've got 3 trees that were really bad that, we look at these trees, we try to figure out what we can do. Can we push the sidewalk? Can we do an S curve around it? Whatever it takes. And it's not an easy decision to, I'm an arborist. This is what I do for my life. I look at trees, I take care of trees. This is what I do. And it's not an easy decision for me to recommend a tree for removal.
Yeah. And that sort of reminds me of another point with that. And I think part of, and this more has to do with the last meeting, but some of the concerns from the residents seem to be more about what the replacement is, and not so much the fact that you were taking out the tree, but it's not going to be replaced with the same kind of tree. There's a broader topic somewhere in the city. We need to somehow get people more involved with the replacement. But as you said, the replacement process doesn't go through the commission, and that may be, confusing to people. But
yeah, and this tree will be replaced, maybe not exactly there because it's so close to the water line. I have to talk to James about the design of the new sidewalk there, but we'll look at that. If we could put 2 trees, they're going to be smaller trees, smaller mature sized trees. So if we could put 2 in there, maybe we'll do that if it's feasible. I haven't really considered that on this, but we do replant where we can. As far as large trees, we plant large trees where we can as well. And there's not too many places where we have a 54-inch or a 60-inch wide planting strip, which is considered small in a lot of communities. This is our largest. This is our huge planting strip, the 60-inch strip. So in places like that, we're planting red maples, red oaks, scarlet oaks, things that grow 60, 70 feet at mature height. So hopefully, we'll have some nice sized trees down the line, but we're always going to have a mixed urban forest, a mixed size urban forest. And as well, a tree like this is a tree heading into over maturity. It's not got a long future to itself. It's on its way on the downhill side of things. And in an urban situation like this, a tree gets to that point, it starts causing problems, or it starts dying back or dropping limbs. It gets pulled out, it needs to get removed and replaced with a new tree. So we have a continual staggered aged forest. That's a healthy forest where everything's staggered. So we're removing one tree here, one tree there, one tree there. We're replanting a handful of trees every year, several handfuls of trees every year, including new trees. And every year, it's a new generation of trees for the city. So this is a more healthy urban forest situation. And
all right. Well, thanks for your comments. And then I guess, so anybody want to make a motion?
I make a motion, we remove the tree.
Okay, second.
Okay, I'll second.
Okay, can we have a roll call vote?
Commissioner Abbott? Commissioner Abbott?
I'm sorry, I guess I did. Yes.
Commissioner Armendariz?
Yes.
Commissioner Kent?
Yes.
Commissioner Price?
Yes.
Chair Beal?
Yes. Okay, so with that, we go on to the next item. So with this, I guess how we'll do this is I'll kind of give an overview of what went down, and then maybe you could chime in, Isabel. Does that sound right, or do we do it the other? Do you go first and then go?
Oh, you can go first.
Okay.
You were there.
So as you all remember, so earlier this year, I'm almost sort of lost track of the months at this point, but it was at least 3 or 4 months ago, the commission discussed adding a couple items to the work plan. These were items that were already part of the master plan, but not part of the work plan. So it means it's been approved for the lifetime of the commission, but not the current commission. So we went through the process. We had some delays in order to get it to the council. It was originally scheduled, and then, well, it didn't make it because the night was full. So I guess the summary is, despite fierce opposition and against all odds, we got the amendments approved. And I think and the goal was to form subcommittees to discuss these two items. So I think what we'll want to do is kind of move on, and we'll let the commissioners talk about those two items. Maybe we should split them up. I think we should split them up into the two separate amendments. So we'll split this up into a 2A and a 2B. But I think that should be the focus of this meeting, because is to get the subcommittees formed, the people can work on this, because we're going to have July. Just looking at the calendar, July is our next meeting, and then August is a recess. So really what should happen is we should try to form those subcommittees and get them to have a report by the next meeting, so that we can do something. But with that, I'll turn it over to. Do you have any other things you might say, Isabel?
The only thing I would add is that the council did reword one of the recommendations Let me pull it up here.
And I'll discuss that. Thanks for reminding me. And you know, it's on she's going to pull it up. And this one, if you may recall, we had some discussion at the commission about how to word this one. And they wanted to change it, and I agreed with it. I felt that, it was a better wording, as opposed to the alternative might have been to reject the amendment, and we'd be back here again. So, but that's the spirit of the idea, is for us to make it easier for community organizations to work with the commission. I think that's really our goal. How it's worded here. There was, I guess, at the meeting, there was one idea about wording it as managing, and that didn't work so well. So, but there's excitement about this idea from the community, because they do want to work with us. There was objection over not delineating the organizations. And, I brought that up, that I felt, and we had also discussed this, I felt that it was not good to delineate them, because then it would sort of suggest that other organizations were excluded. But that's kind of how it came down. So with that, anything more, Isabel? Or?
No, I think that captures the discussion, the council discussion. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, I see it.
Okay, so it's number 14 was approved as follows. So research and develop processes for the city to engage with community groups that provide care, programming, and upkeep of Albany parks and open spaces. So that's the one item that was approved by council, but slightly revised. And then number 13 remained the same, which is research and develop standards and guidelines for flex court integration. And regarding this one, as the commission starts discussing subcommittee formation, I just wanted to let you know that Commissioner Martin did indicate that he was interested in volunteering to be on the subcommittee for the flex court.
Yeah, now on that note, because I believe Commissioner Chang Frank was also was the advocate of the other. Did she indicate something similar like that, or can we assume she would?
Not since the previous meetings when these items were discussed, but Commissioner Martin did indicate that to me recently in an email as he was letting me know that he wouldn't be at the meeting tonight.
Okay. Well, let's discuss the flex courts first, and I guess we'll do questions from commissioners, and then do public comment. Any questions from the commissioners? Commissioner Price.
Oh, I'm sorry. Are we only asking questions about the flex courts right now, or either?
Hey, let's do flex courts and then we'll split it up. I figured this is probably going to be a quicker one, but I could be wrong, Oh, is that the question? Oh, okay. So you have a question about the next one, but not this one. Okay. So then let's go. Do we have any public comment? Let's see if I can use my mouse here without breaking the computer.
There are no hands raised.
Okay. So then, a discussion on the part of commissioners. Oh, well, okay. So wait a minute. So what are we going to do then? That's the point. What do you guys want to do? You want to form a subcommittee?
Yeah, I think maybe one thing we should just talk about is what the product of the subcommittee would be. What are we hoping to form a subcommittee to produce?
Yeah, no, that's an interesting difference of, I was thinking something along those lines, but slightly different. What I was thinking is maybe we let the subcommittee, because we made this work plan, but it is a little vague. And my idea was we choose the subcommittees and let them try to refine it and come back at the next meeting with a report, and then we kind of work it out. That was my idea, but your idea is a good one as well. So what does everyone think? Well, we could certainly talk about it. We got lots of time. So what does anyone want to expand on what they're going to do for the flex courts?
I mean, I'm going to jump in and say I'm not really.
Yeah. What do you want to
expand? So I'm not going to step up for this one.
Todd, yeah, come on. Like,
so I understand this right, Brian. We're trying to do a subcommittee for the two new, for both the flex court and for the last one, which is working with community groups to.
We're discussing them one at a time. So
these two different subcommittees.
Got it. Right. We could have overlapping people, but at this point, I don't see a shower of hands. So, okay. So,
well, I can help on the flex committee. I mean, I'm not that interested in it, but I can definitely help out if we need help on it.
Okay. So there's Martin and Kent for flex court, and then who else? Anybody else?
Potentially, I would say Commissioner Chang Frank is, because she had mentioned a couple of months ago that she was interested and had reached out to me for some questions, So I have I can definitely confirm with her, if she wants to be on this subcommittee.
For the flex court.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because all right. So I think maybe she was a proponent of both of the ideas. I thought she was, okay. Anyway, all right. So, all right. So I think maybe what we'll just do is cut to the chase and have a motion. You guys want to have a motion to form a subcommittee with at least two of the people we added? And
I say we add Commissioner Chang Frank. That'll teach you to miss a meeting.
I don't, and procedurally that feels a little weird. So I guess we could do it.
That was a joke. Although I have been volunteered by missing things.
Or I can't say anything. You make your motion. Is that your motion?
Okay. I'll go ahead and move that we create a subcommittee to address the flex court item here, featuring Commissioner Martin and Commissioner Kent. And the opportunity that leaves a third spot open for somebody else who might be interested.
Yeah, that sounds good. Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, so we have a roll call vote.
Commissioner Abbott?
Yeah.
Commissioner Armendariz?
Yes.
Commissioner Kent?
Yes.
Commissioner Price?
Yes.
Chair Beal?
Yes. Okay, so we'll go on to the next item. I guess this one, kind of, as we said, it was reworded. I did raise some concerns, probably a lot more concerns. And that's sort of on that note about just the same theme that Commissioner Abbott brought up about, what is this commission supposed to do? I think that this one, it maybe there's a lot more to discuss. But also, this one is more, I think, urgent. We get these people out there to work with some of these organizations. I think, and we may very well have public comment on this one. So anyway, any questions from the commissioner on this one? And yeah, Commissioner Price, I know you were coming.
Chair Beal, you just mentioned that the edits included reducing the delineation between groups. I didn't quite understand. I just wanted to understand, get a better understanding.
It wasn't part of the amended wording. It was the discussion that happened. So, and there was, there were a couple of things that actually happened. I could go into it more. There was sort of a chicken and egg problem kind of with this item, that there was a concern on one council member that we hadn't done enough research to recommend having this subcommittee, and it seemed like, we would have to already have it on the work plan in order to do that much work. So ultimately the council saw that, but again, as you said, the other one was that there was sort of an idea. I think there was more than one councilor. They had this idea that they asked. They said, well, which community groups, you know? And then I said, well, we hadn't felt that it was right to include those. And it passed, you know, that's not part of the amendment, but it just was a concern that was brought up. So I think, you know, when the subcommittee is formed, that's going to be, you know, one of its first charges is going to be, okay, let's see who out there, you know, well, maybe that's not right. I think that, this is specifically for a process. It's, and I really need to go back and work with it, because what it says is to help define a process to engage the community, not to actually engage the community groups. So, yeah, but the idea is to get to that point. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think so.
Now, I may have confused you more, but any other commissioners? Is there any public comment?
Yes, I see one hand raised.
Letterman?
Yes, this is Susan Schwartz again, Friends of Five Creeks. I really have nothing substantive to say about this. I'm happy that it has passed. And I guess my only recommendation is that your subcommittee, which I believe can operate somewhat informally, ask the community groups. Thank you.
Yeah, and on that note, just maybe the staff might want to address that about the informally, because there are limitations on what staff, what a subcommittee could do.
I didn't hear what was said. I'm sorry.
She said something about that the subcommittees can work somewhat informally, and I'm not sure what was meant by that, but I just wanted to point out the subcommittee still has some restrictions, and maybe you could go over those. Or
well, subcommittees can work outside of a meeting, and they can do research, meet with community groups or experts in the field to get input and information. So that's that's the purpose of subcommittee, is that they can advance the work in between meetings, and then report back at each meeting on the work that they've done.
Okay, but the subcommittee can't actually make, I mean, they're limited on what decisions they can make without that.
They can't make decisions. Yeah, subcommittees don't make decisions. They do research and bring back the information for the commission's consideration.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now that was the point I was looking for. Okay, so I guess then there's no one else, did?
Yeah, there's one more.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you for letting me in here real quick. This is Jeremiah. So the subcommittees, I was wondering at what point during the next month are you going to hold possibly a public involvement, so that way you can consult the public on this, like you were just saying, outreach to the community members, survey or something. So I'm just wondering, is there a time or a date that maybe formally or informally, but just at least a time and a date scheduled for the public to where they could meet you either virtually or in person? I'm not sure how the in-person thing works right now, but possibly at the community center, in the lobby, or is there just a public place to where community members can meet with you and discuss this topic, to share ideas, to share pros and cons? So basically, yeah, I'm just saying, is there a way for the subcommittee to engage the public with letting the public know ahead of time that, hey, the subcommittee is going to be meeting here, this location, this time. If any members of the public would like to, throw in their 2 cents or, throw in a whole dollar, figuratively, but share their ideas, I think that would be really great. I was just kind of curious how you were going to meet or talk with the public. Thank you.
Do you want anyone from the staff want to comment on that and the limitations of Brown Act proposed?
I'll just jump in and say that one of the first meeting, the subcommittee will kind of figure out what their process is, how much opportunity they want for public input. They may want a lot, or they may want to do some work beforehand. So it's going to be up to the subcommittee how that works. So we don't really have anything to say.
I guess what I was noting in the speaker's comment was he mentioned public meetings, and subcommittees don't normally have public meetings.
They can.
Wouldn't be
I mean, they can have meetings of
public meeting. A public, not a meeting, a public meeting, because of the way the Brown Act works. If it's a public meeting, can you help me out here with the staff? Because you see what I'm saying? Because of the
I mean, it doesn't have to be noticed the same way that an official public meeting is, but you can meet with the public.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay, but it has the same level, but it would have the same level of formality that our regular meeting does. And I'm just not aware of any commission that has a subcommittee that holds public meetings in the city of Albany. I think that would tend to be more.
I think you're using the word public meeting in a different way than I am. I'm just meaning you meet with the public. It can be informal. It does not need the formality.
Okay, got it.
It's just meeting with the public, not a quote unquote public meeting. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, in other words, someone could ask, an individual could ask to meet with the subcommittee, and that's one thing. But
a subcommittee can send out an email and ask for 100 people to come and have a meeting. That's fine. It's a subcommittee. They can do that.
okay, but the meeting that would have to be arranged through the staff liaison.
About the Brown, the key is any decision that happens has to take place in the format of an official meeting, meeting all those needs. So they come up with a proposal, they come up with information, however they want to come up with that. Any discussion and decision has to be noticed and through the formal process.
Okay.
So that's why it's allowed.
Okay, and I guess just it would be hard to answer his question ahead of time because the subcommittee hasn't met yet. So, yeah, okay. All right, so set my paranoia aside then. So any other commissioners? Or did we have more public comment? No? Any commissioners want to comment? Anyone want to say anything? Yes, Commissioner Mindries.
I just wanted to say that I would be interested in serving on a subcommittee for this topic.
Yeah, okay. So, and then I think we had permission.
I think you probably all know that I would be interested in serving on the
subcommittee. Many P's. Like, Commissioner Price.
Sorry, did you hear me? I would also be interested in serving on the subcommittee.
And no, I didn't. I was caught in this. I was tongue twisted. So anyone else or anything else to say? Okay, I guess we want to have a motion.
I think it would be appropriate for one of the subcommittee volunteers to make a motion this time. I'm getting
I move that we form a subcommittee to research and develop processes for the city to engage with community groups.
Second.
Oh, could you name the members of the subcommittee, please?
Sure. With subcommittee would consist of Commissioner Price, myself, and Commissioner Mindries.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
A second.
Oh, we had 2 seconds. Okay. Well, there was a tie. Do we have a roll call vote?
Commissioner Abbott?
Yes.
Commissioner Armendariz?
Yes.
Commissioner Kent?
Yes.
Commissioner Price?
Yes.
Chair Beal?
Yes, and congratulations, Commissioner Price. That's a great motion. So we move on. The motion passes. And so I think, on this note, future agenda items, I think we'll want to have the flood on the agenda for these subcommittees to give a report, because as I said, if they don't, then that report will flip until September, and there won't be as many months left. So I would suggest, if they got reports, let's hear them. But any other ideas from commissioners about future items?
Just on that, though, I mean, I think that needs to be driven by the subcommittee to decide when they're ready.
Okay, and all right, so then the next meeting is July 14th, 2022. Same bat time, same bat channel. And that concludes our meeting.
Good night, everybody.
Good
Thanks.
job.
Thank you.